Hello and welcome back, Wastelanders. We are here with Home and with our Halloween Let's Play. So, let's get started. Last time we left off in this creepy old warehouse, woke up in a little house with a dead man inside, and went through some sewers and a forest to end up at my old workplace, an old factory. So we just restored power to the factory, or so it seems. Our old break table. The layer of dust and grime only made seeing this sting a little more. This is Norman's locker. The door was dented, like someone had punched it. I don't remember him doing that when we worked there. Another panel. I hoped it could help the power, or help get the power back on. Did I push the switch? Yep. And it worked. Cool. Utility shelf crammed and mismatched with tools and items. There was a claw hammer on the shelf. Did I take the hammer? Nah. The whole place reeked of disuse and disrepair. What was I going to use with a hammer here? I already have a gun and a knife. I don't really need a hammer. The locker was a complete mess. Hidden at the bottom, though, was a magnetic card. Did I take the card? I slipped the key card in my pocket. There goes the power to the rest of the place. Alright, let's get back downstairs, see what we can do with the power switch. Creepy music? Check. The door had been hastily boarded up. There was a door with a magnetic card seal or something here. So hope we can use this card. The key card I found seemed like it would pass through this reader. Did I use the key card? Yes. There's some kind of ventilation hatch here. Looked like I could jump to the room below. My leg hurt enough as it was, but I couldn't see any other option. Did I jump? If I was too chicken to jump down that broken ladder before, why do it now? There had to be another way. Let's go downstairs and check out actually trying to go down into that room first before we start breaking my leg. I mean, it makes sense. The power box looked like it was running again. With the power box working again, the door was unlocked. Did I go through? Yeah. A rack of flashlights hung on the wall. One of them was missing. I think that's the flashlight I have. I stepped out of the factory, unsure of what to do. It was a long walk home, and for some reason I felt a hint of regret leaving that place, but I knew I had to get home to Rachel. I thought I'd try to make it back the main road. I needed to get help. The path outside was horribly dark, but I had no other choice. What? Oh, a car. A pickup had smashed into the guardrail and stood silent. Was this the truck those newspapers clippings mentioned? Was there really a body found here? I'm sorry, my reading is terrible tonight. A garbage bin was a disgusting mess of rotting food and slick black bags. I saw a thin, greenish corner poking out of one of the bags. It was my driver's license. It looked damaged. Did I take it back? Yeah. I cleaned off the card as best as I could. It looked pretty beat up. I was amazed to have found my credit card, and now this. I tucked the card into my wallet next to my credit card. Sounded like it was going to start raining again. I had entered Norman's place. This was the back of the store that he ran. It was oddly quiet, except for the faint sound of a television. That's weird. Oh God. Jesus. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Norman, my coworker and one of the few friends I had in this town, lay dead beside his armchair. His face and shirt were covered in blood. It looked like he'd been shot trying to get up. His eyes were still wide with shock. Norman, you deserve better than this. Should I close his eyes? Yes. I wasn't sure if I wanted to give him peace or I just couldn't stand to think any more about what was going on. I quickly closed Norman's eyes. I guess this was Norman's kitchen table. He kept it clean enough. There were water rings and from 2 cups still there in the wood. The kitchen trash bin smelled fresh. I didn't dig through the mess, did I? Yes. I found a hairpin amongst rotting food and trash and pocketed it. I figured they make this walk past Norman. The TV was still flickering with some indecipherable channel. What was this? It looked like a pull chain hanging from the ceiling. I wonder where it led. Did I pull the chain? Yes. I gave the chain a single tug and a simple folding ladder to the attic popped down. A weathered sleeping bag and a small camping stove. The bag smelled musty. I wasn't sure if it was because of being in the attic or had been used recently. There's a large cardboard box that hadn't been sealed. Did I open it? Yes. Inside the old cardboard box was a pile of clothes, photos, and even shoes. As I looked closer, I realized they were Rachel's. What were you doing here, Rachel? Were you responsible for poor Norman downstairs? This is getting a little weird. I wasn't entirely surprised to find this here. It was one of Rachel's old fall coats. I always wondered what happened to it and how long it had been there. Inside the cabinet was a small but impressive collection of hunting rifles, shotguns, and even a few items that I didn't think were legal here. One of the slots on the rack was empty. The gun I had found seemed to match the others there. If the handgun was Norman's, what the hell was he doing with it? The gun would fit there. Did I place it back in the cabinet? No. Though it weighed on me, I had a hard time parting with the weapon just then. I used the hairpin to pick the lock. The hairpin snapped in half, so I threw it away. The general store was small, but it was clean. It had the usual thing: postcards, snacks, magazine, and canned goods. I never went there much. Usually Rachel stopped by after work if we needed anything. The register was mostly empty, and a fat stack of travel magazines beside it. The icebox seemed to be unplugged. It must have been off for a while. Most of its contents were half melted. There were various postcards from the area, especially from the tourist traps. One of the postcards showed an old black and white photo of the water tower. It looked to be in much better shape then. That night continued to take a horrible turn after a horrible turn. It seemed I had last seen Norman, but to find him like that, as I thought of him still lying on the floor back there, the gun I carried seemed ever present. Seeing the dusty box of those clothes was a real shock. How long had they been there? And what was Rachel doing at Norman's place? I felt like I had only just discovered more questions. No answers, but I was close to home. It was time to find out the truth. It was locked. This wasn't the right gate. The gate was locked tight. This wasn't my house. Oops. I'm kind of afraid to go back home. I could only think of what happened to Rachel. The neighborhood's local post box. A letter was sticking out, as if someone had pushed it in the hallway. I knew it wasn't right, but did I look at the letter? Yeah. The envelope was addressed to Norman. There was no return address, but the handwriting looked familiar. I took a deep breath and tore open the package. The letter read, "Norman, I'm sending this to you in a letter because I'm afraid to tell you of this in person. What we did, well, it was wrong. My husband isn't an easy man to be with, but he is my husband, and you're his friend. I need some time to sort this out, away from you both. I'm going away for a while. I'm going to tell him, Norman, so don't you think you could hold that against me. I'm going to tell him and get past this. Maybe we'll work it out. I'm not sure I even want to. But he deserves at least this much. Goodbye." I think that's a letter from Rachel. This wasn't my house. I had the wrong gate. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I had entered our backyard. The rain gave me a terrible sense of foreboding, and it chilled me throughout my very bones. Or my clothes. Through my clothes. I like mine better. I was expectant, but also afraid. I never did fix this gate. It was stuck. I needed to press on. There was no turning back at that point. It looks like blood. That's what I wanted to go back for. It looked like blood. I held my breath as approaching our back door. I was so terrified to step inside. The house was painfully quiet. The only sound was my own breathing. Ragged and strained, I flicked the light switch. By the door, the power was off. The table was clean. It hadn't been used any time recently. The door to my basement. It was locked. Where had I put the damn key? There's a small pile of mail on the floor in front of the mail slot. How long had it been away? Why hadn't Rachel picked this up? Most of the contents were bills. There was a credit card bill there. Did I open it? I ripped the bill open and read it. To my surprise, it said something about canceling my credit card due to non-payment. What the hell? The door was stuck shut. There was an old-fashioned keyhole underneath the handle. An old photo of Rachel and me stared back at me, reminding me of better times. It didn't make me feel terribly comfortable. Did I keep it anyways? Yes. Replaced the photo in my wallet, feeling like I had got part of my life back. Still, the image made me uneasy. Why had I thrown it away? Our television. I had purchased it before I knew I was going to lose my job. I felt pretty guilty about it afterward, but then it was too late. the books there were half mine, half Rachel's. Hey, now that I look more closely, it looked like the man in the house had some of the same books as I did. My wife's, Rachel's suitcase was sitting on the bed. It was closed, but I had a feeling what was inside it. Did I open it? Inside Rachel's suitcase was a few days' worth of clothes, some personal effects, and a train ticket. As I stared at the ticket, I could feel myself flush with anger and resentment. The date and time matched the receipt I had found. One book in particular seemed a bit odd. I remember owning it, but not in that edition. Our Hoya mirror had been smashed, its pieces scattered around the floor. There's been a fight. Our sink, which needed to be replaced. One of the taps always stuck, but I hadn't got around to fixing it yet. We were lucky enough to even have a house with one of these old wonderful claw-footed bathtubs. My laptop had been left on. There was only a tiny bit of power left. On the screen was a website about the old water tower. There was a key in the top of the drawer above my desk. Did I take it? I pocketed the key. Huh. I don't like this. I unlocked the basement door. There were old Christmas decorations in the box. The garbage bags were stuffed with old paint cans and supplies. There was a dirty old key here. Did I take the key? I took the small key and tried to remember what it unlocked. There were old clothes and tools and other things we obviously hadn't thrown out yet. I had put up this divider wall last summer so we could create a small separate room in the basement. I hadn't finished it yet, so the door was stuck and the drywall was poorly installed. I might have been able to break through if I found something heavy enough. Kinda wish I took the hammer now. The grimy key I had found in the basement unlocked the door. It looked like the room had been tossed around. The furniture was a mess. Did somebody break in here? There was an old crowbar on the floor. Did I need to take the crowbar? I lifted the heavy crowbar. I appreciated its weight. Huh. The front door is locked from the inside. I couldn't go out, though I needed to see if Rachel was here. It's weird. That was a terrible sentence. The crowbar I found would have been strong enough to bust through this wall. Did I break through the wall with the crowbar? With a heave, I swung the crowbar at the wall. I smashed a large hole, enough to step through. As I stepped through the broken wall, my breath caught in my throat. This was it. Was Rachel down there? Was she okay? Don't look. Don't look. A filthy looking pile of rags had been dumped in the corner. The stench of them was awful and made my eyes water. I was terrified to even touch the pile, to see what lied within, but I knew I had come this far. After all I was searching, after all I had seen, when I looked within the rags, would I finally find my Rachel? Yes. Jesus. Wrapped within the filthy rags, pale and still, was Rachel. She was covered in fading bruises and what looked like to be cuts. Her chest was a horrible mess of blood and dirt. I couldn't bear to look at it. I thought about all I had seen, and I wondered if any of it could help me figure out who had done this. And when I couldn't stay there any longer, I stepped away on my shaky legs and made my way back upstairs. Reluctantly, exhausted from my journey, I could no longer resist the urge to close my eyes. And I fell asleep. Maybe I would use some of Rachel's travel books and find a place to go. It was my wallet with its contents intact. Either I dropped that stuff or somebody else did. Maybe I was sleepwalking again, or maybe somebody had stolen it from me. Norman's store, that forest, the water tower. Was I at those places before? Yes. I didn't see how it could have happened any other way. I must have been the one to lose my wallet and its contents. But what does that mean? This was that old photo of the man and his wife I assumed I had found in that house. There were a lot of disturbing things in those tunnels underneath that house. Maybe it wasn't quite what it had seemed. Well, what did I think? Was that man involved with this whole mess somehow? Yeah, definitely. Those tunnels, those odd tools in his house. He wasn't innocent, that's for sure. Within a few broken pieces that remained of the mirror, I could see my face. It had grown pale and weak. I couldn't bear to look at it again. I didn't actually expect a reflection. I felt empty and drained. The reflection in that grimy glass was only a shadow, a whisper. I still loved the old-time charm of that claw-footed bathtub, though it seemed like a cold comfort then. I couldn't leave, not until I had thought about this some more. I needed answers. The mail still sat there heaped on the floor. How long had Rachel been lying in the basement? I couldn't go back down. Not until I'd gone over everything. I needed to make sure I was perfectly clear. There's something I'm not exactly clear on. My old office safe sat on the floor. I used to keep tax records and other important documents in it. I used a digital passcode lock. Did I try to open it? Safe used an 8-digit code. What was that damn code again? No, that wasn't it. Damn, I couldn't remember. I have to find out that code. From now on, have no one get angry with me for stupid things like buying this TV. It was the keycard I'd found in that factory, the one that allowed me to slip through that door. It seemed to me that it was probably Norman's. But if that was true, what was he doing at the back of the plant? Did I think Norman was going back to the factory? Who else would it have been? Norman? What were you doing back there? The laptop had finally run out of power. I'd made up my mind. How did he end up dead? He was already gone when I woke up. There, that was decided. No matter what, I needed some kind of escape. I already went in here, didn't I? This is a TV room. It seemed like I had seen all there was. Maybe I thought I was ready to go back to the basement. I guess I was ready to face the truth now. The gun I had found in that old man's tunnel. What was it? What was he doing with it? Why had I taken it in the first place? Was this my doing? Did I bring this upon Rachel? My head began to spin with guilt and worry. If I wanted to end it, I could do it. I could do it with that gun. Did I pick it up again? No. Just the thought made my head spin. I left the gun on the cold basement floor. It was a knife I had found in the sewers. I left it here because I didn't want it near me anymore. Was this all my fault? Was I responsible for Rachel's death? If I was guilty, could I take this to a warm, safe place and do something about it? Did I pick up the knife? No. There were other means of dealing with this. I couldn't go back into that room again. I don't want to kill myself. I'm found in the man's tunnel. I guess if I wanted to end it, I could do it. I could do it with that gun. Did I pick it up again? It's like carrying an anvil, but I wouldn't let it go. Not again. I needed to put an end to this situation one way or another. I must have locked the door. There was no reason to return to the backyard again anyways. I sat down at the table and stared at the gun in my hand. It didn't seem so heavy this time. If I wanted to, I could use the gun and finally end this. The question was, did I think I deserved it? Did I? Was this my fault? Did I deserve to die? No. As painful as this all was, I didn't lay the blame on myself. I mean, I didn't do anything. I didn't kill anyone. No, that was it. With Rachel gone, I couldn't stand to be in that house a moment longer. Did I leave and say goodbye to that nightmare forever? Yeah, I did. Since I arrived in town, things have been difficult. Working in the plant, that would have been good for me. It kept me in the line, it gave me something to do, helped get me away from my past. When that factory closed, everything changed. I guess that was when I started sleepwalking, disappearing for hours at a time. Drinking was probably just a way to deal with that. It was almost as if I was trying to beat my brain at its own game. Things stopped making sense after time. That and my memories of what happened are still in flux. But I know Rachel had tried. I know she tried to be there for me, even when everything was falling apart. This night had unearthed terrible things, but I knew it was the final act of long-standing horror I'd been living. Waking up in that house tonight was the final cruelty. I wish I had remained unconscious in that room forever. It was obvious to me that man I had found in that house had something to do with all this. Could he have killed Rachel? It was starting to seem that there were too many things I had seen to think otherwise. The forest especially was a difficult maze. I would rest easier if I never saw its like again. I knew Norman wasn't completely innocent in all this. He was obviously going back to the factory, rooting in those lockers, but had he brought the guard that I had found to his end? It certainly seemed so, but I almost didn't want to believe it. I'd catch my breath to take it all in, but up until the factory things had only gotten worse. But then I had seen something even I wouldn't have expected. When I went to Norman's store, that was when my perspective on all this really started to change. Norman was dead, but I had no idea what happened to him. Finally, Rachel's things at his store, though, had the ultimate shock. I would get no answers now, but that didn't stop my head from reeling with questions. But as painful all that was, oh God, I couldn't bear to think about it again. After all I'd done and seen, finally coming home was supposed to be the end to all this entire ordeal. God help me, though, it was only the beginning. As I swung the door and stepped out into the air, I caught the scent of wet grass and frog. Rachel, my beautiful wife. Just the thought of her again, cold and inert, shook me from head to toe. What would I do now? Who could I turn to? It would only be a matter of time before the police got involved, before the neighbors knew. The front lawn was soft and giving beneath my feet. I couldn't shake the urge that I shouldn't stand there, but rather that I should run. So I ran. Alright, thank you guys for sitting there enjoying the game with me. It was a little short. I enjoy it. It was a good narrative, though. I can't help but feel like I left a lot to be discovered. Towards the end there, it started to feel a lot more like I was the murderer. But there's no real way to know, at least for me to know from what I've learned. I feel like he started drinking, started sleepwalking, and then his wife telling him that everything, that she was cheating on him, that he snapped and murdered them. But that's just me. So I don't really exactly know. Maybe you guys will know if you play through the game. The game's only like $1.50 on the Steam sale. It's definitely worth it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know I did. And if you guys want me to do more narratives, please tell me. As always, if you have any requests or comments, please leave them in the comment section below. See you guys next time. Happy Halloween.